I feel like I'm pretty dialed in on the SEC and the Big Ten because there's dominant teams. I cannot predict the Big 12 or the ACC to save my life. I literally cannot. There's just too much chaos. But getting that out of the way, it is week 12 of the college football season. And it was an exciting weekend. I enjoyed watching Oregon. Iowa was insanely close. And then Alabama, LSU was very sloppy, but Alabama came up in the end. I did fairly well last week. I went 11-5, which brings my all-time record to 115-43. That is an insane record. Of course, I'm pushing for a perfect week, so hopefully we get that here. Some big predictions I got last week was Oregon over Iowa, and Texas A&M over Missouri. The teams that I got incorrect: Texas Tech dominated BYU. Congrats to them. Wake Forest got the upset against Virginia. Cal upset Louisville. Tulane beat Memphis, and Wisconsin got the shocking upset against Washington. That was interesting. Only one team has a bye week this week, and that is number 14, Vanderbilt. And just before we get into this prediction, I just want to let you guys know that my younger cousin from Chicago, Illinois, is actually also a very big college football fan. And I invited him to predict one of these games. He is currently choosing the game, and he'll get back to me. And so we'll have a guest picker for the first time in this series. So that will be nice. But getting it out of the way, let's get into these predictions. Okay. First game on the board. UCLA, who is 3-6, is on the road to take on the number 1 team in the land, the Ohio State Buckeyes, who are currently undefeated. UCLA, the only advice I have for you is what I've been saying to the last Ohio State opponents is you need to score points. If you do not score a point, there is no chance you will win. And for Ohio State, don't let them get false hope. I was watching the game against Purdue. We should not be down by Purdue halfway through the first half. We should not be doing that. Just kill them immediately, and we'll be fine. Give me the Buckeyes, 43-14. Okay, moving on. We have Wisconsin, who is 3-6, on the road to take on Indiana, who barely squeaked out a win against Penn State. For Wisconsin, maybe the win last week awoken something in you guys. I don't know. Your leading passer was your punter, so you guys are obviously going to run the ball. And Indiana is shaky right now. You know, they weren't exposed. But you've seen the flaws in Indiana, you know. For Indiana, you need to lock in. You guys have a target on your backs now. I don't know if you guys recognize that. You guys have a target on your backs. You guys want to be... if you guys want to be an elite program, you guys have to know that once you're good, you have a target on your back. So get used to it because every single team is going to play their hardest to beat you guys now. So just be aware of that. I think Indiana wins, though. Give me the Hoosiers, 35-12. Coming up next, it is an SEC matchup. It is the South Carolina Gamecocks, who are 3-6 on the road to take on the Texas A&M Aggies, who are undefeated. South Carolina, I saw some rumors that Lenora Sellers is thinking of leaving. It wouldn't surprise me if he left because this was a total flop of a season for South Carolina. But for South Carolina, your offense needs to execute this game. Texas A&M has a ruthless defense that you need to figure out a way to score on. I think for South Carolina, if you want to win, you have to control the time of possession. The best way by playing defense is not allowing their offense to have the ball. It's that simple. So you got to get Marcel Reed and Casey Concepcion away from the ball as much as possible. For Texas A&M, don't fall for the trap. Alabama almost fell for the South Carolina trap. I don't want you guys to fall for that same trap. I don't think you will. Also, don't have Lenora Sellers have any time in the backfield to make any plays. Get to him fast, and make it swift. Give me the Aggies, 28-16. Okay, coming up next, it is another SEC matchup. This one's a lot tougher. The 11th seed Oklahoma Sooners, who are 7-2, are on the road to Bryant-Denny Stadium to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide, who are 8-1. I need some water for this one. Oklahoma. You need to force Alabama to run the ball. Alabama throwing the ball? Great. One of the best teams in the nation at throwing the ball. Running the ball is a whole different story. They are not that good running the ball. So you need to force them to run the ball. So on offense, you need quality possessions. When you have the ball, you have to either waste a ton of time or you have to score points. You would like touchdowns, but field goals are fine, especially if you're keeping this a defensive game. For Alabama, you've been here before. You have played multiple AP top 25 teams before. Just remember last year. Don't let this be like last year where Oklahoma ran you out the building. Don't do that. You really need your defense's help in this game. If Oklahoma's stopping you, which I could see happening, your defense needs to stop Oklahoma. You need to find some momentum on the defensive side of the ball if your offense is not going to get the job done. You also need to make quarterback John Mateer uncomfortable. Do what Texas did. Texas made Mateer very uncomfortable, and what did Mateer do? He threw 3 interceptions. If it was in Oklahoma, I may have chose this game differently, but I got to go with my breadwinners, man. Give me Alabama to win this game 20-17. All right, coming up, we have number 10 Texas on the road to take on number 5 Georgia. Top 10 SEC matchup. Texas, you need your best offensive performance of the year this game. Georgia, very tough, very physical team. This is a must-win for Texas to keep your season alive. This Georgia team does not die. Last bit of advice for Texas, remember last year. Last year, you played Georgia twice. And what happened? You lost to them in the regular season, and you lost to them on a heartbreaker in the SEC Championship. Remember that. Bring it into this game. For Georgia, you guys are 36-1 in your last home games. I don't expect you guys to lose, but catch the ball, of course. That's what I'm going to say. First of all, catch the ball. You cannot play conservative. I've seen Mike Bobo run plays, a lot of screen passes. I feel like you need to throw the ball downfield a little bit more against the secondary. Test this secondary. Zachariah Branch can definitely run past this secondary if you play your cards right. You've been in bigger games before. I don't think this Texas team is better than last year's, okay? So let's go. Also, Texas does struggle on the road. Every single one of their wins, every single one of their losses is on the road, and every time they're on a road game, it's been extremely tough for them, as you saw with Kentucky and as you saw with Mississippi State. And just for that, give me the Georgia Bulldogs to pull off a top 10 SEC win against Texas 24-23. Okay, guys, now we are going to have my guest picker pick the game. So let's cut to that. Okay, guys, this is my cousin David from the great city of Chicago, Illinois. I love Chicago. So, David, what game have you decided and what is your prediction?
Well, there's a lot of great games in the college football slate this week, but nothing looks to be better than this Georgia-Texas game. Huge SEC showdown, SEC title game on the line for both teams.
I agree. So, what do you see from what could you expect from both teams? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, Texas, they've struggled to run the ball a bit this season. Wisner has been incredibly inefficient, and Georgia, they have by far and away the best rushing attack in the country with their two-headed monster of Frazier and Bowens. But I think the key for Texas in this game is they have the number 1 ranked run defense in the SEC. So I think whichever wins of those two fronts is going to be the key for this game.
Yeah, I agree. I mentioned in my video that Texas has struggled a lot on the road. Like their 2 losses, Ohio State and Florida, are on the road. And when they played Kentucky and Mississippi State, they were both on the road and they barely won both games. So that was my factor and why I chose Georgia. But yeah.
For me, I ultimately landed on Texas, even though, like you said, Texas has struggled on the road and Athens has been one of the toughest places to play in the country over the last 4 years. Only 3 losses at home for them, all of them coming to Alabama. Yeah. But I think this Texas team is incredibly motivated. Their playoff hopes are on the line. They drop this, they're done. It's over. I think Georgia can still afford this loss, especially to a top 10 ranked team. But I think this Texas team is just going to play their tails off.
So what's your score prediction? What do you think it's going to be?
I think this is going to be a low scoring game. Vegas has Georgia by 6.5. I think that's in a little bit of an aggressive line. It was from a Texas team that's been getting better and better ever since that Florida game where they struggled. I ultimately landed on Texas 21-17, pulling the upset on Georgia in Athens.
All right, that's a good one. All right, thank you, David, for your time. And I'll keep my record of you when I do my next video. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on next. It is a Big 12 matchup. I suck predicting the Big 12, but this one should be a lot easier. It is UCF, who is 4-5 on the road to Lubbock, Texas, to take on the number 6 seed Texas Tech, who is 9-1. For UCF, the best thing I can say for you is to keep it close, control time of possession. For Texas Tech, though, I am worried about one thing, and that is the offense. You have to get your offensive issues together this game, and you need to lock in. Texas Tech, you spent all that money in the offseason to get where you are today. If you want to stay here, you're going to have to win every single game. And it starts here. Give me Texas Tech 31-13. Okay, next game on the board here. It is Florida, who is 3-6 on the road to Oxford to take on the number 7 seed Ole Miss Rebels, who are 9-1. For Florida, your defense needs to cause turnovers. If your team causes turnovers, if your defense causes turnovers, you have momentum and you have a good chance of scoring the ball. Speaking of scoring the ball, your offense has to play a lot better. You guys laid an egg against Kentucky, so DJ Lagway, your offensive coordinator, your head coach needs to have a better performance. For Ole Miss, I'm going to say one thing and one thing only. This team ended your season last year. If you don't remember, when Jackson Dart's final season at Ole Miss, I think they were 8-2 and had a course to the SEC championship. But what happened? They lost to Florida, an unranked Florida team, just like this one. Do not let this happen. Give me Ole Miss 35-21. Okay, coming up next, it is Minnesota, who is 6-3 on the road to Eugene to take on the Ducks, who got a very emotional win against Iowa. For Minnesota, this is your chance to get them while they're down. I know Oregon has their tight end injured. They have a couple receivers injured. So this is your chance to get them while they're down. You need a big offensive performance, though. Oregon still has a very, very good defense. You need to score the ball in order to keep up with them. For Oregon, why are you guys playing so conservatively? I get it, you're losing. I get it, you lost your receivers. But I saw it against Indiana. When you had your receiver, you didn't throw the ball downfield. Why not? Dante Moore can throw a great ball. Why aren't you throwing it? This is a get-right game for Oregon, in my opinion. This is your chance to just really dominate an opponent. Give me the Ducks 28-13. Okay, I had to make this game its own separate recording because I had to get something off my chest. The number 9 Fighting Irish of Notre Dame are on the road to take on the number 22 seed, the Pitt Panthers. Both teams are 7-2, and I think game day is coming to Pittsburgh, so that's great. What's on my chest is Pitt's head coach Pat Narduzzi's comments the other day. This guy said he does not care if Pitt loses by 100 to Notre Dame. All they're focusing on are the last 2 weeks of the season. You are a coward. You know that? You are a coward. That is insanely insulting to your conference. That is insanely insulting to college football. And most of all, that is insanely insulting to your own team. You are dissing your own team when you say that. If I'm a head coach, I'm saying we know Notre Dame's tough. We're going to give them 110%. We're going to give Notre Dame everything. If we lose, at least we know we'll give them all. It sounds like you're not even going to try. 100, dude? 100? Seriously? You're not going to care once. If Notre Dame beat you by 100 legitimately, I feel like you would have something to say about it. Seriously? You wouldn't care? How insulting is that? If I was Pitt, I would fire him. I wish Notre Dame would beat him by 100, but I think they'll beat him by half. Give me the Irish 56-7. Okay, next game on the board here, it is a Big 12 matchup. It is the TCU Horned Frogs, who are 6-3 on the road to take on the number 12 seed BYU, who are coming off a loss to Texas Tech. For TCU, this is your chance to get them while they're down. They lost to Iowa State, so this would be a nice bounce back, but you need to focus. BYU scores a lot of points. You need to stop that. Do what Texas Tech did. For BYU, all that frustration and anger you have over your loss against Texas Tech, use it against TCU. Also, you need to have a better offensive showing. You only scored 7 points as the 8th seed. You need to do a lot better than that. And I do think BYU is a lot better than that. Give me the Cougars 28-24. Up next, another Big 12 matchup, man. Darn it, man. I suck at the Big 12. It's the number 13th seed Utah on the road to take on Baylor. If Baylor does one thing well, and that is offense, they can score points. I have seen that firsthand. They may have 4 losses, but they score a lot of points. So Utah, your defense better be ready. You also need to rack up wins because you're kind of stuck in this kind of gray area right now in the rankings where you have 2 losses and you're very competitive, but none of your wins are really convincing enough to move you up in the rankings. And if you lose, it's only just going to bring you back even more. So every game is important. You need to win every game. For Baylor, the only advice I would say is to score and score more. You know how to do that, so score against Utah. Your defense does need to show up, but it hasn't shown up the whole season. So that's why I'm going with the Utes. Give me Utah 35-26. Oh my goodness, my computer's going off. Coming up next, it is an ACC matchup. It is the NC State Wolfpack, who is 5-4 on the road to take on the 15th ranked Miami Hurricanes, who are 7-2. For NC State, your offense needs to show up in a big game. It did show up against Georgia Tech, but it didn't show up against Notre Dame. And I feel like Miami's a lot like Notre Dame, so your offense needs to show up. Also need to keep it close. Miami, you need to have better first halves. Miami always keeps it close with the first half of their opponents. They kept it close with Syracuse until they eventually pulled away. But you need to get those convincing wins to move yourself back up in the rankings. And I think they do. Give me Miami 45-18. All right, up next, we got the 16th ranked Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who are 8-1 coming off a bye week. They're on the road to take on Boston College, who is 1-9. Again, I was very sad when Georgia Tech lost their first game a couple weeks ago to NC State. But it's okay. It's one loss. You can bounce back. And I do expect them to bounce back. The only thing Boston College really has is quarterback Lewis Bond. He gets a lot of yards for Boston College. But for Boston College, I guess this is your chance to stop them. Your run defense has to show up. Jamal Haynes and Haynes King are 2 great runners in college football. So you need to stop them. I don't think they will. Give me the Yellow Jackets 45-10. Moving on here, it is a Big Ten top 25 matchup. It is the number 21 seed Iowa Hawkeyes coming off a loss to Oregon on the road to take on USC, the Trojans. For Iowa, your secondary better be ready. Seriously. Kyle Lemon and Jacoby Lane, 2 of the most underrated receivers in all college football, and they are very, very good. And Iowa, you need to score at least 20. You guys cannot score 20 points whenever you guys face a ranked opponent, so you guys really need to score the ball when you play a ranked opponent. Literally, that's the only reason why you lose. Your defense plays great. It's your offense. USC, here's what I'll say about USC. You need 3 and outs. Iowa, they do a good job of controlling time of possession. They control the time of possession against Oregon. That's why they were so close. You need 3 and outs. You need quick stops. That way your offense can cook. I'll say the same thing as I said to the game against Northwestern. There is no corner on Iowa that can guard Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane, Mayava. Throw it up to him. Give me the Trojans 27-16. All right, another Big Ten matchup. It is the number 18 seed Michigan Wolverines. They're on the road to take on Northwestern, who is 5-4. Michigan. You guys better lock in. You guys have had 2 very sloppy wins against not the best Big Ten opponents. I'm just going to be honest. And I have seen many Michigan fans on TikTok react to these games, and they're not happy with what they see. They're not happy with Bryce Underwood. They're not happy with head coach Sharon Moore. They're not happy with a lot of things. They're happy with the defense. You guys have a great defense. I do give you that. But from what I'm seeing, you guys are underperforming. So, and Northwestern, they're good at two things. They're good at run offense and they're good at run defense. And you lost your home run hitter. You lost Justice Haynes. You know, the guy who was scoring all your points, he is gone for the year. So what are you going to do now? What are you going to do? Northwestern, they have to control time of possession, just keep Michigan's offense off the field, of course. I do think Michigan wins, but I think it's also, again, very sloppy. Give me the Wolverines 20-17. Okay, moving on. It is an ACC matchup, one of the conferences I cannot predict. It is number 19 Virginia Cavaliers, who just came off a loss. They're on the road to take on Duke. And Duke is not a bad opponent. Duke is 5-4, but they keep it close and they're very competitive. Virginia, what was last week? What was that? You guys scored 9 against Wake Forest. 9 points at home. Lock in on offense. For Duke, this is your chance to knock them off. Obviously, Darian Mensah needs a big game, which I think he will. And you know what? If the ACC is not going to be straight with me, I'm not going to be straight with the ACC. Give me the Duke Blue Devils to upset number 19 Virginia 35-30. Speaking of ACC, another matchup we got, it is Clemson, who is a 4-5. They're on the road to take on Louisville, who just lost to Cal in overtime. I saw the ending play. Cal's wide receiver hit a mean whip route on the corner, and he walked in for an easy touchdown. Clemson, this is your chance to end Louisville's season. Louisville, I thought they were elite, but to be honest, they didn't look that good against Cal. You have to shut running back Isaac Brown for Louisville. He is very quick, very mobile, so you need to shut him down. Louisville, you need to bounce back. You need the defense to step up here. TJ Moore, Kate Klubnik are still very good players. And since it's the ACC, I'm going to pick the upset again. Giving Clemson to upset Louisville 24-23. Okay, coming up next, it is a very interesting matchup. It is New Mexico State, who is 3-6, on the road to Neyland to take on the Volunteers, the 23 seed, who are 6-3. I don't know much about New Mexico State. They have lost 4 of their last 5 games. I don't really know what to say to you guys. Tennessee just crushed them. Give me the Volunteers 45-10. Okay, final 2 games of the video. It is an American Conference matchup. The number 24 seed USF Bulls on the road to take on Navy, who is also 7-2. And this is a very interesting matchup between 2 really polar opposite teams. For USF, you have that very fast, high-powered offense with Byron Brown. And for Navy, you got the control time of possession, run the ball. You have that very weird play style that most of military schools use, like Army and Air Force. For USF, this is plain simple. This is a must-win. If you want a chance to get that last spot in the college football left, you need to win on the road against the Navy. Watch out for quarterback Blake Horvath. He can pass and run. He's actually their leading rusher right now, so you got to be careful for that. Navy, you need to find a way to stop USF's fast offense. USF's offense is very, very quick. You need to find a way to shut that down. And how do you do that? By controlling time of possession. I've said this multiple times throughout this video. If you have the ball, there is no possible way for them to score besides a turnover. So, just keep their offense off the field and you'll be fine. I do think USF has better talent though, so I'm gonna go with the Bulls to win a tough game on the road, 21-17. And last game of the video, this one's kind of an underrated one. It is Arizona, the Wildcats, who are 6-3. They're on the road to take on the number 25th seed Cincinnati Bearcats, who are 7-2. Plain simple for Arizona, Noah Fifetta needs a great game. Cincinnati has a very good defense, and you guys need to score points to keep Cincinnati on their heels, Don't give them too much space. Don't make them separate and grow that big lead. You also got to make quarterback Brandon Sorbers. He makes mistakes, because he does not throw a lot of picks. He does not turn over the ball a lot. You need to find a way to do that against this Cincinnati team. Cincinnati, you need to bounce back. I think they got crushed by Utah. Was their last game. So yeah, you need to find a way to bounce back from that. You need to get back up in the Big 12 rankings. You have a tough schedule to end the year. So, and you need to stop quarterback Noah Fifetta. Fifetta is a great quarterback, very underrated. He's just been at Arizona. He's been at Arizona for so long, man, so long. I feel like he's been there for like 4 years, but I do see this game being very close. Arizona is going to give Cincinnati a run for their money, but I think the home field advantage is going to help Cincinnati in the end. So give me the Bearcats, 28-25. All right, guys, that is going to be the video. I want to thank you, of course, for watching me, and I just can't wait to watch these games because only 1 week has a bye, and that's Vanderbilt. So can't wait to watch all these, and I can't wait for the college football playoffs. It is going to be amazing. But thank you for watching me, and as always, be safe, folks.